So, care provider, you're running Google pay-per-click ads to your care homes or dom care services, and you're doing this because you want to get more inquiries, ideally from self-funding families. Many care providers are running Google pay-per-click campaigns in particular, and they're doing it for a reason, because yes, it does help you drive interest and traffic to your website, to get more live chats, and get more calls and emails and brochure downloads and all the rest of it, to help you get more inquiries, particularly from self-funding families. Now, I was speaking to a care provider the other day, and they had spent 80,000, yes, that's £80,000 on Google pay-per-click, which is absolutely fine over a long period of time. Of course, it depends how many care homes or services you have, but they didn't know any key metric, i.e. they didn't know what their cost well, they probably knew what their cost per click was, but they didn't know anything pretty much above that. And I've listed 12 metrics here, 12 metrics that you must have a handle on if you're running Google pay-per-click campaigns to your care for your care provider. So I'm going to go through those and explain why they are important. So imagine you're spending £1,000 on Google pay-per-click ads, otherwise known as AdWords, and you want to really assess and know what you're getting for every £1,000 that you spend. So that's why these 12 key metrics are so important. So the first one, number one, is that cost per click through to your website. So that's probably the most obvious one, because it gives you an idea ultimately of how many people are coming through to your website after finding your Google pay-per-click ads. And that's a good starting point. The second element, which is probably more important, well, in fact, it is more important. Number two is the cost per conversion. And this is conversion in Google's language. And a conversion in Google's language is that every time someone who clicks on to your ad and then does something, i.e. make a phone call, i.e. interact with you via live chat, makes a call, and you can track this via Google pay-per-click, makes a call to you as a result of your ads, for example, or sends you an email, or downloads some other guides, for example, from your website. So that's called a conversion. That's a key number. If you can, the lower you can get your conversion, cost per conversion, of course, that's a good indicator of how good and well your ads are performing. The third metric is your cost per admission related live chat inquiry. This is really important. So let's say you have live chats or some variety on your website. You want to know every time someone is making an admissions, if you're a residential care home or a service inquiry, i.e. someone genuinely making an inquiry via your live chat system. Again, this is another key metric to understand and assess how well your ads are performing, and ultimately leading to something I'll come to at the very end, which is the cost per inquiry. So that's the third key metric to assess and understand. The fourth one is your cost per admissions related telephone call inquiries, same as the live chat I've mentioned, but again, you can measure this, and you can have a system where you can record all telephone call inquiries that come into your care provider, and so this enables you to assess and analyze how many of those calls as a result of a Google pay-per-click campaign. So that's absolutely important. And the fifth, again, is brochure downloads, cost per brochure download. Again, very similar to the live chat and the telephone calls. And number 6 on my list, which you can see I've just written down here as a bit of a cheat sheet, is the cost per ad campaigns. Now, ad campaign, you may have different ad campaigns for your care provider. An ad campaign may be very generic, care home, for example. It could be a nursing home, such as around that kind of campaign with those kind of keywords. Or you may have a specialist ad campaign, whereas maybe a real focus on dementia related keywords, for example, or some USP that your care provider has. I know one home we've been helping with helps veterans, military veterans, and they had a specialist ad campaign focusing on military related, or rather veteran related keywords. So that's number 7. Number 8, there we go. 8 are best performing ads and their strengths, i.e. average to excellent. Google has a system of assessing and analyzing your ads on your behalf. Google pay-per-click ads now have a kind of machine learning built in, I guess a kind of elementary form of AI. It's probably more accurately described as machine learning, where and for this reason it's able to rate your ads on a particular score from average to excellent. And it's a good idea to have that as a metric and always checking on the dashboard. All of these metrics that I'm talking to you about today, they all come into play. What I'm trying to do on this video is just give you a real sense of all those various metrics that you can and should be clear understanding as to what they are. So the number 9 is the best performing keyword searches, and this is something I particularly have a good look at. I always like to find out what keywords or phrases people are searching most and what gets the most clicks. Often if you start a campaign, you may have a very open-ended keywords and phrases, but really by process of optimization, you are going to be making sure that you are maximizing the best performing keyword searches. And again, all these metrics I'm talking about help you be able to make a judgment on those cost per conversions, for example. But the best performing keyword searches is one that I particularly like because it's continually changing and being optimized. And that's a key point here, is this continual optimization that you can do enables you to continually refine those ads to make sure that those best performing keyword words or keyword searches are exactly bang on and help you get that best deal and price for that every £1,000 of ad spend. So number 10 was the best performing keyword terms, which is related to number 9, best performing keyword searches. And number 11 is having a keen idea of what percentage of your ads get seen on mobiles, desktops, or tablets. Now, right now, when I'm making this video, it's around about 85% of the time we find that it's mobile phones, which stands to reason. Most people are using mobile phones, but it's very important that you understand that and you see it for yourself, because then you want to make sure that your website is optimized for mobile, to making sure the download times and everything else, it's getting quite technical, but are optimized for mobile. Because you and I know how frustrating it is if we go to a website and it's not loading quick enough. We can quickly move on and get distracted and go elsewhere. So then the number 12 is your optimization percentage, which is again a metric that Google pay-per-click has on its dashboard. This is your optimization percentage, which again is essentially from 0 to 100, but you only start to be getting 85+%, because that's Google's way of telling you, hey, all your ads and campaigns are doing very, very well. But by bearing in mind all these metrics that I've just mentioned, they all come into play for this ultimate optimization percentage that Google pay-per-click has for you as a care provider if you're running Google pay-per-click ads. So those are the 12 metrics which come to the 13th metric, if you like, which is the most important, because if you understand all of that, you're ultimately able to help get you a cost per inquiry. And that is how much, let's say you're spending £1,000, how much it's costing you out of that 1,000 to get an inquiry. So how many inquiries, that's a genuine inquiry from a family, in particular making an inquiry which is admissions related. And ultimately you should be getting anywhere between £200 and £800 per inquiry. And then the Google, and then your conversion rate comes into play, how good you are to converting an inquiry to a resident. And there are a number of variables we know on this. That may be the quality of the inquiry in the first place, but that's why it always comes down to an average. Care providers are no different from any other organization or business. They have a certain number of leads, and a certain number of those leads will be better than others. Care providers are no different, but it's the average number that's key here. And for every 10 inquiries that you get, a number of those won't be quite right for a particular reason. Maybe to complex needs when you don't serve complex needs, or particular forms of dementia which don't suit you as a particular care home. But the cost per inquiry is an average, and that's how I always like to see it. And again, I do stress a care provider is no different to any other business. They have good leads and they have not so good leads, but generally the pattern is the more leads you get, the inquiries you get, and the more able to make sure you get them and you don't miss them by all the metrics I'm talking about here today, then more inquiries ultimately leads to more admissions. That will be the general rule. Again, of course, conversion rates come into that, and how quick you respond to an inquiry, how courteous you are, and all the rest of it. But all those metrics I'm talking about here, the 12 of them, they lead ultimately to that 13th key metric, which is the cost per inquiry. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you like this video. Please add any comments that you have. I'm happy to answer questions at any time. And also make sure you subscribe if you like this video, and then you'll get many others like it.